All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines, and I'm here once again with Cayelin Castell, who most of you know and is a good friend and an amazing person. And I'm also here with Box the cat. Really wanted to be part of this conversation. Um, so Caitlin and I were meeting today because we're planning something very exciting coming up next March 2025. We're super, super happy about it. It's going to be a free event. We'll say more about that really soon. But anyway, we were theoretically meeting about that today, and then but I really wanted to just create this little short video for all of you because we're in this moment. Today is October 25th, 2024. And as we all know, we have Pluto very highlighted right now because it's at the very, very, very last minutes of Capricorn and about to enter Aquarius for the next 20 years on November 19th. And on November 1st, next week, we have a new moon in Scorpio, right? So this whole Scorpio Pluto energy is super highlighted. And at the time of that new moon, also Mars is going to be opposite Pluto. And this is you can look at a lot of what's going on astrologically and feel like it's very, very intense. So a lot of people are worried and upset about lots of things going on in the world, understandably, including myself. And we can look at the astrology and get even more worried or upset. And at the same time, one thing I love about you, Cayelin, of course, is that you help to ground and bring positive perspectives to all of these things. And so your way of engaging with astrology tends to really resonate with mine. And so I thought, can we please do a little short, sort of hopeful pick me up conversation for this moment that we're in? Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, oh, I'm so happy to do this with you. And the thought that just leaps into my mind as we're talking about this is that I think Pluto cycles, especially, and Pluto aspects that are happening in the greater reality, remind us that it's important to accept what is, what we can't change. You know, the sun's going to rise, the sun's going to set. We can't change that. There's certain things we just don't have control over, and trust the universe, trust that this is all happening for us and not to us. And that it's for and sometimes it's miserable, sometimes it's really, really difficult, and usually it's mostly difficult when we're resisting. I have found this to be so true. And I've been in a Pluto cycle for a couple of years myself, maybe more like three. And I found myself, I was in a very resistant place to letting something go. And then suddenly I was like, wait a second, I'm in a Pluto cycle. I need to let this go. I'm not fixing it. I'm not changing it. I'm not making it be different. I just need to let it go. And it was so like instant in that sense of relief and liberation and like, okay. Uh, that's what you're supposed to do when Pluto is like wanting you to shift into something new and to let go of something that you've been trying to hang on to that's not working. So that's one thing to know about Pluto, is that it's here to empower us always. That is the intent. And the only reason we might not ever experience the empowerment is because we keep resisting and we keep hanging on to something that needs to be let go of, and that is holding us back and not allowing us to grow and evolve and flourish and shine our light and be who we are. That's the only reason that that wouldn't happen, that we wouldn't become more empowered in a Pluto cycle, is if we're not allowing ourselves to let go and trust the universe, that when we do, it's going to get even better than we can imagine.
Yeah. Well, and something you were just starting to say before we started recording is also this aspect of Pluto, and I'm guessing you would associate this with Scorpio too. I talked about this in my own new moon video last week, but the other part of Pluto and Scorpio energy I think gets forgotten, including by me, is that whoa.
Wow, that's a sign in the world of form if I ever saw one.
Okay, that was really funny given what I'm about to say. What I'm going to say is something I think we forget about Scorpio, Pluto, we associate with shadow, right? Well, and so we think of scary things being in the lurking in the shadows, but just like what just happened, sometimes what's also in the shadows is the gifts and like all the beautiful things that we have forgotten about, like even parts of ourselves, our own inner gifts we've forgotten about, or I don't know, fireworks that come out of nowhere.
I want you to do that again. Can you do that again? That was amazing. That was good. Thank you, Pluto. Thank you, Scorpio. And really, if you think about the Scorpio Pluto mysteries, they are the ones the most connected to alchemy. How do we transmute and transform through an alchemical process? Die to something, let something go, so something new can come in, or to really take those base elements and transform them into something like gold, like something amazing that is beyond often what we were imagining when we even started the process. That it can become more illuminating, like fireworks. And I'll just quickly say that before I understood these mysteries, I was going through a Pluto cycle and my life was in total hell. And I thought I was doing everything right.
Mm.
How in the world am I being punished for doing the right thing? I did not understand that. And I was hanging on with everything I had to that life and to that situation. And it finally just became so miserable. I had to let it go. And when I did, my life got so much better that in ways I couldn't have imagined. And then later I found out I was in a Pluto cycle, and that's what that was about. I was like, oh, I wasn't being punished. I was being redirected. I was being directed into what was really aligned and true for me so I could be empowered. Oh, okay. That was helpful. I wished I had known it before because I would have let go a lot sooner.
Yeah. So when you're sitting in this moment, October 25th, 2024, and we have these intense, intense, intense energies around coming up and here, and Pluto's about to enter Aquarius. And and I love, okay, so I've taken your star alchemy courses and your Venus alchemy courses. I just want to put in a plug for all of the above, all of it. But in your star alchemy course, when you're talking about the seasonal sign of Aquarius, it actually overlays the constellation of Capricorn or the sea goat, right? Which is associated with Pan, among other things. But so one of the things I've been really feeling into, which I love so much, is that even though Pluto is entering Aquarius, it's also heading toward or into the constellation of the sea goat, which we could associate with Pan, among other. So there's this quality of, as we're going into this Aquarian air sign energy, we're also going into an energy very much having to do with the earth and our connection with the earth. Um, anyway, any thoughts around any of that you want to speak
Yes,
to?
I love that you're bringing that up because it's Aquarius is often seen as out there, visionary, all of that. But you can have all the great visions, have that cosmic perspective, but if there's no way to ground it, to bring it into the earth, and the sea goat is really water and earth, if you think about it, and it's different ways the story's told, but Zeus, somebody's running from one of the Titans and is needing to get away and turns himself into a goat and then jumps into the water and turns their um, backside into a fish so they can swim away and get away. But it's that earth and water solidity that we experience here in this reality. Like we need both. It's the emotional realm, it's the physical realm, and then Pluto and Aquarius is the mental realm. But Pluto, of course, is also the underworld. So where all the gifts are, where we can really retrieve the gifts from the depths. And so I feel like that the fact that it just so happens to be at this time in a 26,000 year cycle that Aquarius, the season of Aquarius, is overlaying the goatfish or the sea goat, so it's like telling us that um, it it's really how are we honoring ourselves and life and the waters and the earth, and how are we bringing our cosmic perspective into that so that we can empower the ways that we're seeing things in hopefully a new way on earth in at this time. I guess that's the way I would sum that up at the moment.
Beautiful. Yeah. And again, I think it's just such a shift of perspective to think of Pluto transits instead of being these scary times that feel like death or something. Like, what if we take an image instead? I'm just getting this image of like being in a cave with what is it? A headlamp on. And it's like, oh, this is so awesome. Like now we're going down into this underworld. And I was talking about this in my new moon video last week, but it's like my spirit guides last week when I was praying on all the scorpionic energy and Pluto energy, they said, okay, just take a minute. When you go down, if you imagine going down into the earth, what do you actually find? It's not scary. It's like the whole root system of all the plants, gems, literal actual gems, crystals, beauty, right? Like there's so much life. I mean, it's literal life. That's what the earth is. It's her body. And right? Like I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
You're reminding me of one of my favorite stories that I feel it describes Pluto and
Mm.
or the underworld. And that is the story of Aladdin. And so what happens in the story of Aladdin is that there's this sorcerer who wants the magic lamp that's in the underworld. And he knows he can't go into the underworld because he hasn't dealt with his shadow. He hasn't dealt with his stuff. So he would have to face all his demons and all the crap to get to the magic lamp. So he chooses Aladdin, who's this innocent young boy who doesn't have any of that, to go in to get the lamp for him and tells him he can pick up all the gems and jewels and everything he sees there, just bring him back the lamp. And so Aladdin's like, sure. He goes and does that, fills his pocket full of jewels, comes back, and then the sorcerer says to him, give me the lamp and I'll help you out. Because he's dropped down into the underworld, and and then I'll help you out. And Aladdin's like smart enough to go, no, help me out, and then I'll give you the lamp. And the sorcerer gets mad, and they keep having this tussle over this. And then the sorcerer finally just closes up the underworld because he's the only one that knows how to open up the space to lead that leads to the lamp, and just walks away and leaves Aladdin there stuck in the dark. And
Mm.
Aladdin's like, oh crap. But then he's like, well, maybe there's another way out of here. Oh, wait, I have this lamp. Maybe I can light this lamp and find another way out of here. And so he rubs the lamp, the genie comes out, and genie says, your wish is my command, or whatever. There's different ways the story's told. And Aladdin's like, oh, cool. And so then what two things I like to think of that. One is you go into the underworld to find your inner genie or genius.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And the wizard, the sorcerer, he was too afraid to do that, and he was trying to shortcut that process, and it didn't really work for him. And then Aladdin is not only does he find his inner genie or genius, then he's transformed from being a poor boy on the streets into somebody who, Disney does a great job of, he comes into into the town afterwards with this big entourage of all kinds of fun people and so on. But that's the way Disney told that story. But the point being that when we're willing to go and face what we are most afraid of, what we've been hiding from, it could be, as you said, our gifts, our best talents, our best skills and abilities, or the things that we're afraid that we've done that have been wrong or bad, or something that's gonna come back and bite us or something. So when we're willing to do that, then we find that genie or that genius that's within us, and it changes everything. We are so empowered, and that is the purpose of a Pluto cycle, is to empower us. But we have to face the things that disempower us first.
Yeah. And I can just like sum up. I also went through a Pluto, 5-year Pluto transit or whatever. I'm finally done with it.
Yay.
Yeah, yeah, finally done. And yes, in the beginning it felt like, oh my, that was so painful. So, so painful. Um, but a really beautiful perspective now looking back is I found literally the jewels of who I am. Like my own power, my own self, but also who am I as a soul? I literally found my own soul, right? That's really what I found underneath the ground, right? Um, and so if we think of it like that, we're in a collective, highly Plutonian moment. So how can we focus? It's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna maybe not resist, willingly go into this realm and find those jewels, those gems, right? That it's like, this is a gift. This is so exciting. This is maybe not always pretty. I mean, I don't want to Pollyanna-ize it.
Right. Well, and the thing is that we have grown up in a culture that has um, this belief that somehow if we're not good enough, we're going to be punished. If we're
Yeah.
not if we're not doing the right thing, then it's going to be painful. And if
Yes.
and that when we die, if we haven't done the right things, we're going to hell or going to burn in some place forever, like as if there's a loving God who created everything would judge against any part of its creation.
Yes, exactly.
And that's just not true. But there are, if we think of Pluto as a teacher and a guide and an initiator, it's teaching us how to be more of who we are. It's guiding us into that process. It's initiating us into something. And initiations often are not easy, are not intended to be easy because they're designed to strengthen us and to empower us into something, being more of who we truly are rather than who we have thought we were. And so that reminds me that there's a lot of people who will have this idea that um, maybe if we're not ascending, if we're not on a spiritual path, that somehow we're gonna be left behind and
Right.
and suffer for that in some way because we weren't that's just not how it works. I don't believe that's how it works. And the way that I like to think about it is, and people have probably heard me say this before because it's one of my favorite topics, is the superconductive field of energy. And this is something I learned about in the 70s when I was going to Maharishi International University in Fairfield, Iowa. They talked about the superconductive field and how it related to the realm of consciousness. And that if there were enough people who became conscious, we would create a superconductive field and change the world. So basically, in physics, to create a superconductive field, that as they're moving towards that superconductive field, there's electrons that are just all chaotic and moving in whatever chaotic, bumping into each other, whatever they're doing. And then some of them start to line up into a coherent pattern. And they found that it takes only not even 1%. It's more like n squared. So whatever the total number of electrons are squared is the number. So it's less than 1% line up into a coherent field, then all of it lines up into a coherent field quickly. And,
Mm-hmm.
and it's such a powerful field that anything of a lower vibrational energy or incoherent nature cannot penetrate that superconductive field. So we could imagine that Pluto is helping us to get to this place as well. And no one is left behind. None of the electrons, no matter how erratic and chaotic and, bumping into everything or whatever they were doing that was bad, doesn't matter. They don't get left behind. They get brought up into that energetic field as well. And so we could imagine that as we become more, I like to think of the superconductive field of love.
Yes, which is
We
we're going to be talking about next March in our free thing. But yes, keep going.
right. And as we vibrate with love, we become more coherent in our vibrational energy. And that's because it's such a high vibrational energy. And then nothing lower than that energy can penetrate that field. We just need enough of us to do that. And as it's said, I think in the Bible it says it can change in the blink of an eye. Well, it can change in the blink of an eye in a superconductive field. So we could change it in the blink of an eye in our collective consciousness if enough of us n squared, however many that is, with 9 billion people on the planet, you know, uh, a million people or whatever it takes, get into that vibration, it will change quickly. And we all get to change with it. We don't get left behind.
Perfect. Yeah. And I think just to throw in, I think like a quote unquote shadow side of Aquarian energy can be this dissociative split feeling. Um, and so I think what I love about you, you in the Star Alchemy course, bringing in the fact that Aquarius again overlays this pan associated energy and this earth associated and earth and water associated energy is it brings it back to the wholeness of everything. And it grounds Aquarian energy basically, right? Yeah. And so we come back to Aquarian energy is not about splitting. It's not for me. That's not the truth. It's about the totality. For me, Aquarian energy is much more about a vision of being able to visual see the total sort of from the bird's eye view, right? The totality. Um, and I don't want to do the splitting thing personally. So I really want to hold exactly what you just said. That. Um,
Well, and Aquarius would say, well, love, universal love is a great idea.
mm,
Pisces energy might say universal love is something to feel.
mm.
But if we take the Aquarian energy and place it in the sea goat, it's not only a great idea, but it's something to embody and
Embody,
to feel it
embody.
and embody it and
Yes,
bring it into physical form. So
yes.
that's the opportunity and possibility that we have as Pluto's moving into Aquarius. And of course, here it is in the last 29th degree, the last few, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, or whatever it's left of it being in Capricorn, and Capricorn being about structure and of this reality, and really dismantling all the old belief systems that have kept us so limited in how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive what it means to be in a human physical form, that so that we can expand that into a bigger perspective and consciousness as it moves into Aquarius, or to stay in Aquarius, because it's been back and forth a little bit already. But wow.
Yeah, I know. Well, and the very last thing I'll just say, because I think this interestingly, I think what we maybe are feeling called to do this little video right this minute because I can feel how the energy of right now actually, I think there's an opportunity right this minute for us as a collective to really ground in, as we have this highly Plutonian moment with Pluto being at the last minutes of Capricorn, entering Aquarius, heading toward the sea goat, etc. We have this opportunity right now to choose to dedicate ourselves. It's like this is how I'm personally feeling. It's like a mantra of I am embodying my own wholeness. I am embodying my own gifts. I am embodying this choice to look for the gems in me that I'm then bringing into the world, etc. And then what's fascinating, I'm just observing this up right this minute, then next March, the reason you and I are doing the gathering, the free gathering we're doing next March is because next March is full of chock-a-block, I mean, crazily full of so much going on astrologically, specifically with regard to the dance between Aries and Pisces, among other things. But that energetic next March for all of us collectively is again this mega opportunity to be those superconductors of love, right? And that's what that whole entire free gathering is going to be about, where we can collectively do it. But I think maybe even in this moment now, end of October, November 2024, I think it's like maybe almost like a precursor to I'm getting chills. It's like
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I just want to say too, because
yeah,
this is like setting an intention. We're setting an intention, you and I together, and then
yeah.
those who want to join with this intention about moving into this whole thing. Anytime we set an intention,
Mm.
anything in the way of it comes up to get cleared, and that's Pluto's work, is to clear anything in the way of that intention. So it may not be easy, We may have to
Mm.
face additional fears and challenges and, places where we have self-judgment, self-doubt, self-criticism, judgment, criticism, and doubt around others and the world. And how is this really happening for us? And is it really in divine alignment? Because it doesn't always feel that way. So it can be absolutely terrifying especially if we're tuning into what's going on in the greater reality, which
Yeah,
might be good not to do if you can help it.
I know. Yes, correct.
So you don't get like disturbed by all of that, but just really looking as we set this intention to become superconductors of love, what's in the way of us really experiencing that, expressing that, being that, embodying that, as you said. I love that, embodying it, peace. So yeah.
And this new moon we have coming up on November 1st actually be an extra, extra, extra perfect time to be setting those intentions, right?
Yes,
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, 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 wow. Hmm.
Yay.
Yeah. So good.
So
So
good.
good. Yeah. So maybe what we can end by is just saying, for any and all of you who feel called, I would give this invitation. Yeah, I personally feel so strongly we are in a key moment on this planet, and this event we have coming up next March is going to be entirely free. We're not like going to do, you know, the VIP upgrade option thing. It's truly, truly, truly. We're both Pisces types, whatever. This is a big time all about being of service to this planet. So we're not there's no hidden agenda here. This is like actually what we believe in. And and I can feel how in this moment when we're recording this video that yeah, for those of you who feel called, we can together really ground like put a stake in the ground right now, right? That this is actually our intention individually, collectively, that we can you can do it however you feel called personally, but I can feel how you can choose as we're walking through this moment in time to go down into that underworld energy, to find those gems, to find the gift of you that the world needs now and moving through this next wave of time, because it will need it. It needs every single one of us. It really does.
And that's why we're here.
That's
We
why
chose
we're
to be
here.
here
We are
for
here
time, right?
right now. Yes. And not to like my other instinct is to not necessarily think too far ahead, but just to get it that we are in a moment of time right now that is setting these intentions, these seeds, this grounding that will be really helpful and relevant moving forward also. Um, but yeah, I would just give that invitation right now to any and all of you.
Yeah, so if you're not on our email list and you want to be able to get that information, you might want to we can put links in the show notes so you can sign up for that, so you can get that if you feel like this is something that's calling to you. And
Yeah.
and again, I love what you said, Martha. We're not there's no hidden agenda. We just want to really bring people together because we increase our intention exponentially when we are in a collective field. And that's also been proven through physics. So it massively increases that. So us coming together to do this and share this with you is part of our intention, is to help increase that exponential energy that's going to take us into this new
Yeah,
way of being in the world.
exactly. Every single time we each choose to find the gem, find the jewel, in the underworld here right now. Like we're making a choice. We find that gem as opposed to we go over there and freak out. It's a very distinct choice. It's like, whoa, we found there, here's the gem the jewel that is you. Wow, all of a sudden the world gets that gift, actually a huge deal. It's really, truly, truly, truly.
It reminds me of Pema Chodron's book. I think she wrote this book called Do What Scares You. Because it
Oh,
will empower you. So if the gem feels scary and frightening and oh my God, now I have to be visible in the world, or I have to do something that absolutely terrifies me to be more of me,
mm,
then do that, because you will be empowered. It's part of Pluto is facing our fears and being afraid and doing it anyway. So we can all join together and creating a new way of living on planet Earth that is going to be just so magical and amazing. Yay.
Yay. Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Caitlin.
Oh, thank you, Martha. I love doing this with you. You know that.
Always. Awesome. Yes, we will see you all again very soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.